الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستهديه ونستغفره نعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهدي الله فهو المهتدي ومن يضلل فلا هادي له أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له أشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله خير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. Tonight we continue with Bab al-Nikah, and we are talking about the chapter of marriage in the book of Umdat al-Fiqh, Shaykh al-Islam bin Qudam al-Maqdisi rahimahullah. And last time we spoke about asking for the permission from the kids, from the boys and the girls to get married. And we established the fact that little kids, when they are to be married, they are not to be asked for their permission. And we said under 9 years old, the right opinion is not to be asked for their permission. And then we spoke over 9 years old and we mentioned the opinions. And then we spoke about over 9 until puberty. And then we spoke over puberty. And we said the right opinion that they have to be asked for the permission. And what we did not mention was a thayyib. And a thayyib is the woman who was married before. A woman who had intercourse through a legal marriage. That is called a thayyib. And يقول النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم that the thayyib تستأمر. Thayyib, this woman is to be asked, and you need to hear her permission, because we said that the Prophet ﷺ, when he talked about the woman who's not thayyib, يعني she never had marriage, or she never was in a marriage, and she never had intercourse with a man legally, يعني through the Sharia, this one might be shy. So the Prophet ﷺ said her silence is her acceptance. Yani you ask her, so and so wants to marry you, what you want? So she might stay quiet, or she might yani smile and turn her face away. Or some people might be so excited, she might start crying. But you need to make sure that this crying is happiness. She's not crying because she thinks she's going to be miserable with this guy. So most probably you will find out after she stopped crying. But usually a woman who never was in a marriage, she might be shy. And today because of the so wide open access to everything, Wallah al-Musta'an, women have lost that modesty. That is the reality. Okay? So she might not be shy anymore to tell the father or the wali yes or no. And that is fine too. Except عند الظاهرية. يعني Ibn Hazm rahimahullah comes from a school called الظاهرية or أهل الظاهر. And they take the text the way it is. It's not even, if it's not exactly according to the proof, if it's not like exact, يعني literal meaning, يعني when it comes to this, they tell you no. So if someone bikr, يعني bikr, someone who was never married before, the Prophet ﷺ said her silence is indication of her acceptance. So you come, you ask her, so and so wants to marry you, what you think? If she stays quiet, that means she is approving. Alright? That's what the Prophet ﷺ said. So they said if she says yes, that's al-bikr, the one who was never married before. Then you ask her again, and if she says yes, That is not approval yet. You have to ask her again until she stays silent. That's Ahl al-Zahir. That's how they take the words literally. So they said the Prophet said her acceptance is her silence. So whether she says I accept, I agree, this and that, they're saying no. You ask her again and again until she stays quiet. Because the Prophet said her silence, and of course this is not logical. And obviously confirmation by words is stronger than confirmation through silence. But that is how they go. That's why. But we still, Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Hazm, rahimahullah, one of the great ulama of this ummah, as Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah, rahimahullah, said about him, he said, وَابْنُ حَزْمٍ رُبَّمَا يَأْتي بِأَشْيَاءٍ يُتَعَجَّبُ لَهَا كَمَا أَنَّهُ يَأْتي بأشياء يتعجب منها. He said, Ibn Hazm, rahimahullah, he might come up with things that you will be surprised. Makes so much sense. MashaAllah, no one would ever thought about it this way. And he also said, he might come with things that you will be so amazed, but not in the positive. So amazed. How can he say something like this? But he's one of the geniuses of this world. I would say when you really get a chance to look into what he wrote and how he used to think, you will be amazed by this man. But that is the reality. والحق لا يعرف بالرجال إنما الرجال هم الذين يعرفون بالحق. The truth is not known by men. In other words, just because so and so said it, that doesn't mean it's the truth. Even if it's the greatest person after Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, if so and so said it, that does not mean 100% it's the truth. Yeah, we will accept more from some people because they're trustworthy, but that does not mean necessarily everything he says is the truth, because everyone we take from and everyone we reject from, if it's against the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, except the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So even Ibn Hazm, one of the great ulama, but he has his own mistakes like everyone else after the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or except the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So when it comes to Thayyib, then her approval is she needs to say. Because she needs to be asked, because she has experience from before. So she might not be that shy to say yes or no or this or that. So that's why the Prophet ﷺ differentiated between Bikr, the virgin, and Thayyib, the one who was pre-married. That's why he said, وَإِذْنُ الثَّيِّبِ الْكَلَامِ. Okay? And her permission is her talk. She talks. We also mentioned that those under 9, you don't ask for their permission. But that is, the wali doesn't have to ask for the permission. That is when the wali is the father. But any other wali doesn't have that right. Okay? Only the father is the one who has the right to marry his younger kids, male or females, without their permission. But if the father is dead and there is wasi, some guardian or the next wali or whoever, he doesn't have that right. Okay? So they still need to be asked for their permission even if they are younger. So if the wali was the brother or the grandfather or the uncle, then they don't have that right. Only the father is the one who has that absolute right. Someone might ask, if the father gives the tawkil or the wakala, or put, for example, the father is away and he calls and he said, they call him, they tell him someone proposing for your daughter. He said it's okay, and I put my brother to be the wali, the uncle. Can now the brother marry her without the permission if she is young, as we said, under 9?
Yes.
Why? So in this scenario, or in this case, the uncle is really not the direct wali. He's just representing the father. So any rights that the father has, the uncle has. You understand? You see the difference? But if the father is dead, the brother is dead, the grandfather is dead, all the brothers are dead, and then it ends up to the uncle, then he doesn't have that right. But if he is given the power of attorney by the father, then he can represent the father in this case. All right. So that was the last thing that I wanted to mention about that. Also, just to mention a difference amongst the ulama, and that is عند الأحناف. For Abu Hanifa, rahimahullah, now that's Abu Hanifa, they said that al-wali for thayyib, for a woman who was married before, she can be the wali of herself. Now if you remember, we've been mentioning the opinions of the ulama, and we said this is right, this is wrong. But in this scenario you find that Abu Hanifa rahimahullah is different than the majority of the ulama. And he said the thayyib can marry herself without wali. And in this instance we say Abu Hanifa rahimahullah, with all respect, actually what the ulama said was wrong. And the reason, and it's the reason I mention this and I bring it up, because you find the person his whole life Shafi'i, or his whole life Maliki, and then he meets a woman and he wants to marry her, but her father does not approve, and she was married before. Now somehow he becomes Hanafi. Because Hanafi said she can marry herself. So playing with the deen like that is not acceptable. Actually, when you choose to be on a madhab because your lack of the ability to distinguish and to be muqallid, some of the ulama, or they said, go for it. If you cannot distinguish for yourself the dalil, you cannot differentiate, is this dalil right and this dalil is authentic or not. But when it's brought to you that the dalil in certain issue, that your madhab or your imam was wrong because the dalil that came from the Prophet ﷺ goes against the opinion, then you have to abide and to obey the dalil, not vice versa. So Abu Hanifa rahimahullah said the woman who was married before doesn't have to have a wali. She can be the wali of herself. And this is mukhalif lid-dalili, and that is against the dalil and against the hadith, because the Prophet ﷺ said, أيما امرأة أنكحت نفسها فزواجها أو نكاحها باطل باطل. Any woman who marries herself, يعني without her will, يعني she goes and the man proposes, she said, I marry you myself. They have two witnesses, the mahr, they think it's the end of it. That's according to the opinion of Abu Hanifa. Then zawajuha, the Prophet ﷺ said, nikahwa, this marriage is false. False. يعني no. يعني the sex during that marriage is zina. That's what it means, nikahuha batil. Because the Prophet ﷺ, because of this hadith, it's clearly that the woman has to have a wali. And Abu Hanifa rahimahullah, this hadith did not reach him. This hadith did not reach him, because Abu Hanifa, if he had this hadith, he would not give that fatwa. Because we know Abu Hanifa rahimahullah is a man who fears Allah. But the problem with those who stick to this opinion after they heard the hadith. So now you have the hadith, you hear the hadith, and you know it's a good hadith, and you see that it's opposite of the opinion. So which opinion you're going to take? The opinion of Abu Hanifa, or the opinion of Shafi'i, or the opinion of Ahmad, or the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? So it's very important to understand. يعني you have an opinion, you're Shafi'i, and you have X opinion. And he's Hanafi and he has X opinion. So they come and they discuss. So at the end, Shafi'i, the one who follows Shafi'i, says, Ana Shafi'i, I will follow the opinion of Imam Shafi'i. The other will say, I'm Hanafi, I'll follow the opinion of Abu Hanifa. طيب? طيب, we give different scenario. One comes and he's Shafi'i. The other said, I don't follow Imam, I follow the dalil, the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. So does it make sense for you as Shafi'i to say, Ana, yani Shafi'i says something and the hadith says something else? So does it make sense, or someone will dare to say, Ana Shafi'i, I'll follow the opinion and you follow the opinion or the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ? No one will say that, because every Muslim wants to follow the Prophet ﷺ. So when you come as in this instance, and you are Hanafi for example, and you say, you know what, I follow the opinion of Abu Hanifa, you follow whatever you want. You're telling me you follow whatever you want. But what I'm telling you, what I'm going to follow in this instance is what the Prophet ﷺ said. So are you saying you're going to be Hanafi and you want to continue with this specific instance, this issue, the issue of that woman who was married before doesn't have to have wali, and you want me to follow Muhammad ﷺ? You're supposed to follow Muhammad ﷺ. Now a second issue, you want to stick to this opinion. I want to ask, you have a daughter, she gets married, doesn't work out, she gets divorced, she's staying with you. Will you accept it that she walks one day into your house to tell you, Dad, this is my husband? Will you accept it? You're the father, you're the wali. What feelings would you have if your daughter does that? Or your sister does that and you're the wali? She comes, she meets someone and she goes, okay, I marry you myself, I accept, here's two witnesses, here's mahar, and will you accept? You know? So that is an issue that so the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ is clear that a woman, whoever she is not allowed to marry herself without a wali. Without a wali. And that is the right opinion. The right opinion. So now we move to a different part, and that is mas'alatul kafa'ah. Kafa'ah, I said I'm going to think about the word and my way here, and then I forgot to think about the word. So maybe you guys can help me. But kafa'ah, maybe the best thing I can think about is suitability. Is the husband suitable for, is the man suitable for the woman to be married? And the ulama mention these things, and you will be surprised, especially when it comes to al-Hanabila. So now here we talk about this book, Ibn Qudama's Hanbali. And that's what we read, is what he mentions, and then we mention the other opinions, and then we say what is the most correct. As you will see, someone will say, oh, this guy is challenging Abu Hanifa. Yani when one of the brothers wanted to give a magazine, the Ghuraba, to one of the brothers, he said, no, this guy challenging Abu Hanifa. And I don't challenge Abu Hanifa, and I'm telling you what the ulama said. Sometimes Abu Hanifa had contributed a lot to the deen, but he made mistakes. Shafi'i had contributed a lot to the deen, but he made mistakes. Imam Ahmad did the same thing. Okay? But we are not to mention, but this is deen. This is deen. Yani, because you're Imam Ahmad or you're Abu Hanifa or Shafi'i or Malik, I'm not going to know that you said something wrong and the deen says something else, and I'm going to say, let it go, Abu Hanifa or Shafi'i said it. We can't do that. This is the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And actually what I'm just telling you now is what all the ulama, these people, these great people, like Shafi'i and Abu Hanifa and Ahmad, that's what they said. They said we make mistakes. They said if you find that our opinion is opposite or against the hadith of the Prophet, then ignore our opinion. That's what they said. So why now when we want to teach the people what the Messenger said, I'm become challenging or against Abu Hanifa? If I'm against Abu Hanifa, I won't be even bringing him up in the lecture. That is dhulm, and that is oppression, and that is lies, and that is backbiting, and actually that's a slandering and buhtan. But those people want to talk. When we say what the truth, they want to talk. Then let them talk. قُلْ هَاتُوا بُرْهَانَكُمْ come with a dalil. You're saying I'm challenging X scholar, then come bring your dalil and show me where I challenge him, and maybe I was wrong, and maybe I can prove to you, maybe you misunderstood me. But that's it, to say that this person is this magazine to challenge Abu Hanifa and make money. I want to make money from a magazine. That's what they say. Not only they take some understanding, and because it's against what they think, they start accusing you, you're against Abu Hanifa. Also they have to add some spices to it. He's making it for money, and only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows. Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows. And I don't need to continue the sentence. But that is the problem we have. That is the misunderstanding and the accusation that we don't give the Muslim the benefit of the doubt. And that is the jealousy. Wallahu a'lam. That when you see someone trying to do something for the deen of Allah, and instead of support, you start talking and making lies about them. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the only one who knows. And I say it here because it's needed and it needs to be said, that we have never ever received a penny for the deen of Allah and to invite to the way of Allah. Penny. But let them say and let them talk, because no one who took this path and no one took this way, and that is the way of inviting to the deen of Allah, was not harmed. No one. And the Messenger of Allah, we have a great example. He who decides to put his foot in this path will be harmed, and will be accused, and will be slandered. So it's very important to understand. So now when we talked about the opinion of Abu Hanifa, in this instance about the woman, al-thayyib, doesn't have to have wali. Now we talk about al-kafa and suitability, and we mentioned that al-Hanabila are wrong. But here, because Ibn Qudama rahimahullah is Hanbali, he's going to bring up the opinions of al-Hanabila, and then we will mention the other opinions and see which one is right and which one is not صواب. قال المصنف رحمه الله عن ابن قدامة: وليس لولي امرأة تزويجها بغير كفئها، والعرب بعضهم لبعض أكفاء. وليس العبد كفءا لحرة، ولا الفاجر كفءا لعفيفة. ومن أراد أن ينكح امرأة هو وليها فله أن يتزوجها من نفسه بإذنها. وإن زوج أمته عبده الصغير جاز أن يتولى طرفي العقد. وإن قال لأمته أعتقتك وجعلت عتقك صداقك بحضرة شاهدين ثبت العتق والنكاح، لأن الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم أعتق صفية وجعل عتقها صداقها. وجعل عتقها صداقها. So, kafa'ah, suitability, for most or for the majority is not a condition for the contract. And we will explain what suitability means, because the ulama have different opinions. Some of the Hanabila, al-Madhab al-Hanbali, they say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, those things have to be met, and they make it a condition of the validity of the contract. Yani they said if those things are not in existence or they're not available, then the contract is up to be broken. Yani the wali of the woman can break the contract. Fasakh. And we will see what the opinion of the majority of Ahl al-Ilm, and see which is more or closer to the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When we say suitability, we're talking about equality in characters. Equality and suitability in characters. The character of the woman with the character of the husband and the man, and I'm not talking about characters in akhlaq, meaning akhlaq. Yes, it's one of them, and actually that is the one that they both opinions agree on. But we're talking characters, يعني lifestyle, يعني race. That's all included. يعني حرية, whether if she is slave or not, he is slave or not. So we will talk about those things, and we will see what is right and what has no dalil and actually opposite or against the dalil. So when we talk about kafa'ah, we're talking about the suitability and the equality in characters between the man and the woman. The ulama have three opinions. The first opinion for al-Hanabila. Hanabila, they said al-kafa'ah, different levels. And al-kafa'ah, suitability has to be met, the equality has to be in certain things, in certain criteria for the marriage to be fit. First, al-kafa'atu fi ad-din. They said suitability in the religion, in the deen. This includes the deen and the akhlaq. And then he said, rahimahullah, just to say what he said, وليس ولا الفاجر كفءا لعفيفة. So he's saying الفاجر يعني a bad man, فاجر يعني he does the haram and he does not care. He commits zina right and left. He deals with the haram, he does the haram. He said it's not suitable for afifa, for an honorable woman, for chaste woman, for good woman. And this is obviously the ulama will not disagree. And this is fit. يقول الله سبحانه وتعالى الزاني لا ينكح إلا زانية أو مشركة والزانية لا ينكح إلا زان أو مشرك وحرم ذلك على المؤمنين. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says Zaniya, the woman who commits adultery or fornication, does not marry, if we're going to take the yankih يعني marry, but someone like them, or does not commit haram but with someone like them, and vice versa. So the believing man, the good man at good level of deen, does not go and marry prostitute, jallakumullah, does not go marry a bad woman. He knows that she's accused with her reputation, she doesn't have good reputation, she hangs out with this guy and that guy and every day with a different guy. A man with deen does not do that. So when we talk about marriage and suitability, Al-Hanabila, they said they have to be at the same level. Because someone who fears Allah and someone who has practiced the deen of Allah, someone who wants kids, wants to make sure the woman he's going to leave the kids with, he can trust. He should know that he wants a woman who can protect his reputation and his honor. So that is required. That is the first thing they mention, and that is according to the ayah and supported by the hadith, and vice versa. So a good man does not marry a bad woman, and a bad man does not marry a good woman does not marry a bad man. Alright? So very important to understand that. So now, someone proposed. You as wali, you're the father, someone comes to propose to you. He walks into your house with the rug, prayer rug under his arm. Everything he said, قال الله قال رسول, astaghfirullah, alhamdulillah, Allahu akbar, mashallah. Everything he said, Allah, the Messenger said. He gives you the impression he's a righteous man. You understand the Prophet said if someone with good manners and good deen proposed to you, then you should marry him. You don't do, then it's a great corruption in her. So he said, I'm going to follow the advice of the Prophet ﷺ. He's good, she sat with him, he sat with her, they talk, they like each other. Alhamdulillah, marry. He takes her. He's very nice first 2 days. Then he takes off that face and he puts his real face. He's bad, he's adulterer, he has relationships with women, he doesn't fear Allah, he does everything that is haram. The wali has the right to break that contract. Fasq. We will talk about talaq and fasq and all that. We're still getting married here. Okay? Then we'll talk about getting out of it. If he refuses, then you have khulu. We will talk about those and what the difference is. But in other words, if someone cheated you, because don't we say, or didn't we say, comes right after the mu'amalat, because it's a contract. Marriage is a contract and it's a transaction. And in transaction we have established, if there is cheating, someone sold you something with X description, and then when you got it, you found out that it's different description. He sold you a car and he told you it has 2,000 miles. When you bought the car, you bought it on eBay. When you receive the car, you jump in and it is 2,000 with another zero. It's 20,000. That is cheating, gharar. You have the right to return it. The same thing here. Marriage is a contract, and if you're being cheated, then you have the right to break the contract as a will. And if he refuses, then the other options, as we will talk about in the future, inshallah. Second, kafa'atul mansib. Okay? And when the suitability of position. And when the ulama talk about al-mansib, they mean in nasab. Yani where they come from, who they are. Yani this guy is an Arab, then what's best for him is an Arab woman. This guy is Daisy, what's best for him is a Daisy woman. That is what they said. They said you have to have that. Actually, you will find that they mention that in the meaning that Arab, pay attention, an Arab man is better than any other man. So he needs to marry a woman who's at his level, and that is an Arab woman. Of course, that is rejected. That is rejected according to the dalil. So obviously this is not suitable. This is not condition of suitability, because it's against the dalil. They have their excuses and their opinions and their dalils. But again, their dalils are not authentic. Actually, they are fabricated. Okay? So that is the fact. That is the point. So when we talk about kafa'at al-mansib, they talk about al-nasab. They also talk, add to that, if he's a free man, cannot marry a slave woman. And if she's a free woman, cannot marry a slave man. And this is suitable. This is suitable because it's different levels. But when it comes to where you come from and race, that is completely rejected. That's why he said, وَالْعَرَبُ بَعْضُهُمْ لِبَعْضٍ أَكْفَى. And the Arabs are suitable for the Arabs. Which he's saying, and that could be taken like the Arabs are suitable to the Arabs, and the non-Arabs suitable to the non-Arabs, and the Pakistani suitable to the Pakistanis, and the Guyanese suitable to the Guyanese. That might also can be the meaning. But in some of their thinking, that the Arab is better. So he got to marry an Arab, and that is rejected. And we will mention the dalils. Okay? ثالث اليسار فلا تزوج امرأة غنية من رجل فقير. Also the financial. So they're saying, that's called اليسار. They're saying a rich woman should not marry or should not be married to a poor guy. Now in some instances that is good, that should be done in some instances, but you cannot make this as a general rule. The general rule is that is not a criteria or a condition. Okay? How many poor men married rich women and they were fine and the marriage was successful, and vice versa? How many poor women married rich men? Okay? So it's but sometimes you can understand if you proceed with this marriage, it's going to fail. For example, a rich woman who has a lifestyle, her father provides for her a lifestyle that this man cannot afford, and if he wants to marry her, she needs this lifestyle. This needs to be taken into consideration, because love is not everything. She might be, I'm in love with him, I can't marry anyone. Alright, and then she marries him, and somehow love starts disappearing. 2 months, 3 months later, she cannot handle the lifestyle. He cannot provide for her. He cannot provide for her to eat lahm al-wiz every day. Okay? He cannot provide for her to eat meat every day. But that's how she used to. Okay? He cannot take her on a vacation every 3 months. Maybe once a lifetime. He can't. So she cannot handle it. So these things have to be taken into consideration, but they cannot be put as a condition for a contract to be valid or not. Alright? الرابع الصنعة. الصنعة يعني the job. The job of the person. يعني the man's job needs to be suitable, needs to be in suitability with the woman's job if she's working. So he's a doctor. She needs to be around there. Huh? He's this. Of course, this also not valid. Okay? But what if she doesn't work? For example. So it's not really valid. But if you look at it from different angle, you see that might be important. A woman is, for example, a doctor. And you go to propose for her, and you know she's a doctor. And you know she's the one, and you're a simple man, you hardly finished your high school, maybe you have GED, right? And you work, you're making $8, $9 an hour. That is reality. We don't need to be shy. That is what's happening. And you know she is making $200,000, $300,000 a year, and you go to propose to her. Because she's from the family and they're going to be okay with it and this and that. Now, even if they are okay, and you marry this woman, and she starts spending on you, the last thing, I'm going to whisper to you, the last thing you want to happen to you as a man is to let your wife spend on you. They're not created for that. They're not fit for that. And you're going to suffer. You're going to suffer. That is their nature. Yes, if she's generous, alhamdulillah. If she can support, alhamdulillah. But you are the person, the man, you're the one whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you that responsibility. The woman is not supposed to be spending on you. And once you let her do that, then you only blame yourself. Very important. Sometimes the husband is incapable, handicapped. Well, these are exceptions. But in general, the man needs to be lahul qawama. Allah gave him that preference because of what he spends. One of the reasons that Allah gave him the preference over the woman is because he spends on her. So once you let her spend on you, even that preference you're losing. So be aware. Very important. Takfurna al-ashir. The Prophet ﷺ, when he spoke about, when he saw and he came to tell the Sahaba that most people in the hellfire, he mentioned the women. One of them is the women. So when they asked, Takfurna al-ashir. What does that mean? Yani the husband is so good with you, so good to you. And once you see one bad day from him or one bad attitude from him, she tells you she's never seen a good day with you. That's their nature. Because, so yakfurna al-ashir, يعني they deny the favor that the husband had been doing for them. The husband, 20 years working so hard, they're sitting home, nothing to worry about. He has to go and fight out there, and this dollar he brings, he had to snatch it out of 1,000 people's mouths to bring in the food. Then he comes, he says something wrong, he did not mean it, he upset her, he does that, she tells him, I've never seen a good day with you. That is why they were the most of the people of the hellfire. Women. So that's advice to the women, and advice to the men who act like that. Like Al-Ma'mun, one of the khulafa, his wife one day tells him, I want to walk in mud. The wife of the Khalifa, what he asked her, what do you feel like doing? She said, I want to walk in mud. You're the Khalifa, You're the wife of the Khalifa. You want to walk in dirt? What's wrong with you? So he went and he made her an artificial mud. What is that? Mud made out of misk and perfume and incense. يعني the most expensive mud you can ever see. Misk. And she walked in it. So one day they fight. So she told him, I've never seen a good day with you. قال ويوم الطين المطين يعني the day of the mud. Even that, you know. So that is the reality. So be aware. And that يعني comes because of the lack of the understanding of the deen of Allah. So as an advice, don't ever let a woman, and this women who hear this or who will hear this should not be offended. If you're not in that group, then say Alhamdulillah. But the majority are like that. إلا من رحم ربي. Alright? الإمام أحمد رحمه الله, when he is burying his wife, Abdullah, cries. So when they asked him, he said, Wallahi, I lived with her, I think he said 40 years or 30 years, we never disagreed on one word. Never disagreed. A woman exactly knew how to deal with her husband, a husband who knew how exactly to deal with his wife. Okay? So very important to understand that. So صنعة يعني the job, the profession. That is cannot be taken as a general rule, but in some instances need to be considered. But it's not a sign of suitability or not. Okay? خامس الحرية. حرية also, he's free and she's not, or sort of. وذهب مالك وهو قول عند الشافعي على أن الكفاءة إنما هي كفاءة دين. So these things I mentioned, the profession, the lineage, the race, the deen, and the financial position or level, this is the opinion of Al-Hanabila. And in some of those points are not right. The opinion of Imam Malik and Shafi'iyya and majority of Ahl al-Ilm is the only suitability is the deen, the religion and the manners. Is the person practicing, then he deserves to marry a practicing woman. Because if she is not practicing, there's a chance he can guide her, but there's a big chance she can misguide him, or vice versa. Okay, someone who's alcoholic, someone who's after women, someone after drug, and you are a woman who prays and fasts and always reading the Quran, what you want to do with a person like that? Why are you going to marry someone like that? Marry someone who's going to help you to improve with your deen. Okay? So if someone proposes to you and you know he has relationships with women and you know he's alcoholic, you reject him. You reject him. If he lies and he marries her, then you can break that contract after you find out and you have that right. قال ابن عبد البر وجملة قول مالك وأصحابه على أن الكفاءة هي هنا إنما هي كفاءة الدين قوله تعالى إن أكرمكم عند الله أتقاكم ولقوله أفمن كان مؤمنا كمن كان فاسقا لا يستوون. So Ibn Abdul Barr rahimahullah said, and the opinion of Imam Malik and his followers is based on what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, that suitability has to do with the deen, with the akhlaq, with the manners, with the practicing of the religion. He said, and the opinion of Imam Malik based on the following, when Allah says, the best of you are those who have taqwa. The best of you are those with most taqwa. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then he said, and also when Allah said, is he the one who is a believer or a believing man equal to the one who is wicked? They are not equal. A good man is not equal to a bad man. A righteous man is not equal to an evil man. Alright? So this is the criteria. This is the criteria that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses in the Quran, in the Sunnah. That is the criteria of taqwa and the criteria of deen. It's not criteria of race. The best of you with those who have most taqwa. So where is Arab and non-Arab comes? Why an Arab is better than? Okay, so it's very important to understand that. طيب, where they came up with these things? يعني الحنابلة, why they brought up these things if you're saying they're wrong? One, قالوا أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال لا تنكحوا النساء إلا الأكفاء ولا يزوجوهن إلا الأولياء. Okay, لا تنكحوا النساء إلا الأكفاء. They said this hadith that you only marry the women who are you only marry women to a suitable person. And this hadith is ضعيف, maybe fabricated even more. Also they use قول عمر بن الخطاب أنه قال لأمنعن فروج النساء الأحساب إلا من الأكفاء. And يعني this is you can see it's wrong, and this is منقطع. يعني there is no way Umar said that, or the person who said Umar said it. There is a big gap of years between them, so there is no way that he heard from him, and that is fabricated. ولهذا ذهب المالكية وأحمد في رواية أخرى وابن العباس بن تيمية رحمه الله إلى أن الدين يعني is the main thing. And their دليل first زوج زينب بنت جحش قرشية النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم زوجها لمن؟ زينب لزيد بن حارثة. زينب من قريش يعني the best of the Arabs, and the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم married her to Zayd. Zayd is mawla يعني عبد يعني slave man. He was slave. Okay, so you can see that she's Arab and he's not, did not mean anything, or she's free and he's not. Okay, but the freedom is also something to be considered, as we will see. Second, Bilal ibn Rabah رضي الله عنه. Bilal Habashi, slave. He was slave before Islam, and when Abu Bakr freed him, he married who? Hala bint Auf, the sister of Abd al-Rahman bin Auf, Arab. So you can see here, alright, very important. وتزوجت فاطمة بنت قيس أسامة بن زيد بن حارث, also an Arab, married mawla or slave originally. So the point is the Prophet ﷺ here, he married Arab women to non-Arab men. Okay, so it's a clear evidence that this being Arab or not, it has no basis. Okay, has no basis. Now, if I want to, if we say that, you know what, she's Arab, so it might not be good for you to marry her. In some instances, that might be a good reason not to marry her. One example, for example, let's say her family and the way she thinks is like that I'm Arab, I'm better than you. Why you want to marry a woman who thinks she's better than you? Just because who she is or where she came from. A man with honor does not accept that. Or maybe there is language barrier. She'll never be able to understand you. She cannot learn language. You want to speak to your wife, you want to talk to her, you want to communicate with her, you want to fight with her. If she doesn't understand you, okay, so it's very important that, but most of the time this does not, she can learn, he can learn, but the bottom line is the race has no basis in the marriage, or it has to do with the suitability. Okay. وقول المؤلف والعرب بعضهم لبعض أكفاء. This is hadith, and the Arabs to the Arabs suitable, but this hadith is weak and cannot be used as a dalil. All right, weak. The العمدة in this قول النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا جاءكم من ترضون دينه وخلقه فزوجوه إلا تفعلوا أو إلا تفعلوا تكن فتنة في الأرض وفساد كبير. Prophet said, if a man comes to you in asking your daughter or your sister or your woman in marriage that you accept his deen, you accept the way he practices deen, and you accept his manners and akhlaq, then accept him. You don't do that, then that will lead to havoc and corruption in the earth. That's the criteria. Someone I know who read the book of Allah and who obeys Allah and he avoids the haram, do I care where he comes from? Don't I feel that this person gonna take care of my daughter and gonna fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the way he treats her? Why should I switch to someone else? Very important. And as Imam al-Hasan al-Basri rahimahullah, he said, marry your daughters to the person you accept his deen, to the person who has taqwa. فإن أحبها أكرمها وإن كرهها لم يهنها. Marry your daughters to someone you accept his deen, someone who's at great level of taqwa. If he loves your daughter, then he will honor her. And if he does not like her, he might not like her after marriage, he will not insult her. Very important. So always look for the person of the deen. And there is no problem. You see someone with good akhlaq, good deen, good manners in the masjid, you have a daughter who's ready to get married, grab him. Tell him, listen, I have a daughter, this, that, that. Oh, I can't get married now. I can't afford it. I'll take care of you. I can't afford it. The father will say, I can't help you until you get on your feet. I'll help you. Why we don't do that? We should. We should. If I see someone who's good, and in this time, it's very difficult to find those. Very difficult. If I see someone who's single and he's good with deen and manners, I'll jump on him. If I have a daughter or a sister or a relative that I'm in charge of and I can intercede for him, why not? But we don't do that. Brother, how you want me to do that? People will talk about it. All right. When your daughter gets married to someone who's not good, people will talk about you more. When their news becomes everywhere. Because he's not good. Because what he does with your daughter at night, he goes spread it out during the day. So very important. Okay? So the bottom line is the taqwa. That is the criteria. ثم ذكر المؤلف وليس العبد كفء الحرة وليس العبد كفء الحرة. العبد is not suitable for a free woman. A slave man is not suitable for a free woman. And obviously that's clear. Because the slave man has no wilaya over himself. He doesn't have his word. He doesn't have control over what he can do and what he can't do. So how can she marry someone like that? It won't be suitable. It just the life will be miserable. He wants to do something with his wife, and his master say, "No, I need you here." Okay? So obviously you can see that is the point. So the دليل on that ثبت في الصحيح النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال لبريرة حينما عتقت, this woman was a slave and she got freed, but her husband stayed as slave. So that she told the Prophet ﷺ, so the Prophet ﷺ told her to leave him. She has the right to leave. She doesn't have to leave him, but she has the right. So here when we talk about al-kafa'a, we're talking about it's better. So it doesn't have to. So if she's free and slave, okay? So the Prophet ﷺ told her she has the right. So she wanted to leave him, Mughith. And he was in so much love with her. And she was in so much hate of him. So she got the opportunity to leave him. And he used to run after her on the streets crying. You know? Crying. So the Prophet ﷺ said, يا برير لعلك تبقين مع مغيث. قالت تأمرني يا رسول الله؟ قال لا إنما نشافع. فقالت لا حاجة لي به. فكان مغيث يلحقها ويبكي. فكان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول للعباس بن عبد المطلب يا عباس ألا تعجب من حب مغيث بريرة ومن كره بريرة لمغيث. So even that Mughith used to run after her, يعني in the streets crying for him to accept him, يعني, for her to accept him. The Prophet ﷺ understand those feelings, and he understand that the man has no control. So he did not grab him and tell him this is haram. Leave her alone. Prophet ﷺ understand the hearts. But the point is, from this dalil, that she was slave, she was married to him as a slave, she became free, he stayed slave, he leaves her. or she has the right to leave him since she became free. Okay. يقول المؤلف ولا الفاجر كفء العفيفة. Fajr, we talk about evil person, is suitable, a man is suitable for a righteous, chaste woman. He said لقوله تعالى الخبيثات للخبيثين وقوله الزاني لا ينكح إلا زانية ومشركة وقوله تعالى فمن كان مؤمنا كمن كان فاسقا لا يستوون. Those آيات يعني clear, but الخبيثات للخبيثين, the wicked women to the wicked men and wicked men for the wicked women, والطيبات للطيبين والطيبون للطيبات, and good men for good women and good women for good men. That's one of the understanding. Someone might come and say, we see a lot of good men end up with bad women, and a lot of good women end up with bad men. The other understanding, which is Wallahu A'lam, يعني, is the right understanding, more correct, is that these khabithat, يعني the bad words, not the bad women, have come out from good people. And good people say good words. And bad words come out of bad people, and bad people say bad words. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in that context of the ayah in Surah Nur, He said, أُولَٰئِكَ مُبَرَّؤُونَ مِمَّا يَقُولُونَ. And before it's talking about al-ifk, about the story of al-ifk and the accusation of Aisha radiyallahu anha. So it's really Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talking about people's speech. So from this understanding, you understand that the ayah means طَيِّبَاتُ لِلطَّيِّبِينَ, that good words come from good people, and good people say good words. Bad words come from bad people, and bad people say bad words. Right? That's another understanding, but it can be the general rule that good people should marry good women, good men should marry good women, and good women should marry good men. Evil men should marry, not should, but they should change themselves. But that's who they should end up with. Women should, so the idea, you get the idea, so they use that. والراجح أن العرب هم أكفاء ثم إن مسألة الكفاءة إنما كفاءة الدين والحرية. Okay? So the bottom line from all this, we come to the conclusion that when we talk about suitability, we're talking about two things. Forget about everything else. Has no dalil. The two major things, the two things that need to be considered, the deen and the hurriya. The deen, is he righteous man, is she righteous woman, and hurriya, slave with a free. Okay? Slave woman with a free man, or free woman with a slave man. So these are the two suitabilities, and obviously no one can deny that he's free and she's not. It's not going to be suitable, and vice versa.
How could we, in the water, can this criterion of freedom and the ayah that says وَلَا أَمَةٌ مُؤْمِنَةٌ خَيْرٌ مِنْ مُشْرِكَةٍ وَلَوْ أَعْجَبَتْكُمْ. Because when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the question is, if we talk about the suitability and the freedom, He's saying a slave, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, slave woman, but believing woman is better than a mushrik. Okay? Better than a disbelieving woman, even if she's free. But what we're talking about here, the between a believing free woman and a believing slave woman. Understand? Believing a free woman and believing a slave woman. You are a free man, you marry a free woman. Believing. Okay? Now, can I marry a free slave, a free kafira? Yes. If she's from the people of the book. Even if I have a slave believing woman, yes. Actually, to marry a slave woman believing, there are conditions. Okay? They have to be met for a Muslim man to be able to marry the slave woman. Alright. قال الله تعالى ومن لم يستطع منكم طولا أن ينكح المحصنات المؤمنات فمما ملكت أيمانكم من فتياتكم المؤمن. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, so who cannot marry a free woman, believing free woman, if he can't marry, then he can marry the slave believing woman. So you can see from this ayah that the order, in other words, you are supposed to marry a free believing woman. If you can't, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the next option He gives him is not the mushrika, free woman. He gives him the free slave woman, believing. The slave woman who's believing. Alright? So you see now where Allah says it's better, she's better. That's why He gives him the option here. Right, the next option is a woman who's believing even though she's slave. Still better than a woman who's not believing even if she's free. So obviously when we say deen and freedom or hurriya, the deen comes before. Okay? The deen comes before. Because she can be free but evil, bad woman. You're not supposed to, you're not allowed to marry her. But she can be slave but righteous woman. Alright? So we see that. So here from this ayah you can see that three conditions for a free man, believing man, to marry a slave, a believing slave woman. Of course here we're talking about slavery because it's mentioned. Okay? But now we don't have slavery, and they claim that some areas have slaves. But really we need proofs. Because if a woman or a little kid kidnapped here and there, and they turn him into slave to sell him, that does not mean he's slave. Okay? But they say in Sudan and here in Somalia, and Allahu A'lam, all this does not exist anymore. Slaves, Allahu A'lam, they don't exist anymore. Okay? But to go and kidnap someone and turn him into slave, that is haram. Very important. First, the first condition, as you see, وَمَنْ لَمْ يَسْتَطِعْ مِنْكُمْ طَوْلًا, he cannot afford the mahr of a free woman. So now, you as a free Muslim man, you want to marry a free Muslim woman, but you can't. So Allah says, if you cannot afford the mahr, the dowry, the second, you don't have money to buy a slave woman. Again, that's when slavery exists. Okay? Third, you can't be patient. You have desires, you need to fulfill. So these three things, if they are existing or they take place, then you become justified to marry a slave woman. يقول المؤلف ومن أراد أن ينكح امرأة هو وليها فله أن يتزوجها من نفسه بإذنه. Okay? A person, he's the wali of a woman. If he desires to marry her, then he can, ijab wal qabul, ard wal qabul, he can be the wali in that marriage, even if he's the one who's gonna marry her. How can the wali marry the girl? How can a wali marry the girl that he is guardian of?
She's not family and daughter.
But how can he be wali?
Because he has the right to approve her marriage.
Imam.
Somebody was giving him
He gave him the power of attorney, the wakala?
the sultan.
Can be. Can be her uncle, her cousin. Didn't we say when her father did, her brother or her son, her grandfather, her brothers, her uncles, if her uncle is dead, her cousin. But all these people on her father's side, not the mother's side. In English, it's uncle for father, for khal and am, paternal and maternal. But when we talk about uncle in Arabic, am, the paternal, from her father's side, her father's brother. Khal is the mother's side. Here we're talking about the father's side. The mother's side have nothing to do with her. Someone will say, that's not fair. Well, they are the father's side for other people. Okay? But for this specific girl, they're not the father side, but they are the father side for other people. So they're gonna say it's not fair for them, then it's not fair for other people, right? So it's not, it's just the organization in Islam. So what he's saying here, that a woman or someone who's wali has the right to marry a woman and he represents her. So a cousin ends up to the cousin, so he goes to the girl that his cousin, she cousin, and he said, listen, I'm your wali and I want to marry you. She said, I accept. End of the story. Of course you have the witnesses and the rest of the conditions, okay? But he can be the wali even if he's the one who's marrying her. So from this also, just to add to this, as you guys said, if I'm the wali, I'm the very first wali, the cousin, can I ask someone who's a little further to be the wali? Because it might be embarrassing that I'm the wali and I'm the groom. Can I do that? Of course. And this you add this to the 6 times, or the 6, rahmakumullah. We said there are 6 situations where we skip the closest wali to someone who's further. And you skip the cousin to someone who's maybe not related to her, but he chose him to be the wali. Okay? Who remembers the other 5? And you give him a cookie. You guys remember when we skipped the closest wali, we said father, son, grandfather, brother, full brother, from father and mother. We said the father is available, but we're going to skip him to go to the son. Or let's say she doesn't have kids. We'll skip him to go to the grandfather. When can we do that? Now the grandfather cannot be her wali without the father's approval, but then sometimes, yes, he's going to be the wali, even if the father does not approve. Yes, someone going like this. If the father is crazy, he cannot be wali.
When the father wants a lot of money for the dowry and everything and nothing.
Okay, when the father عاضل he's being excuse my language, a jerk. He just, someone wants to propose and he's just being hard-headed. The guy said, I can give him mahar 10,000. No, I want $40,000. Well, and one after another. Or he's asking for something is not acceptable. So this way she can skip him and go to her next wali to marry her. Crazy, huh?
If the wali is in Minnesota,
yeah, if he is away and someone proposes for the daughter, and if by the time he is back, he needs, let's say, a month, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, the guy said, who's proposing, well, I can't wait. I really am leaving in a week. I need to get married and finish and take my wife with me. So we say, if we're going to wait for the father to come back, she's going to miss on this opportunity, a good man. So then we can skip. Okay? But now you have the communication. You can call him. He can put you as wakil. But here we're talking about in the past. When he's away in Hajj and it takes him 6 months to come back, there is no way to communicate with him. You cannot send him email. Alright? صغير, we said the son comes after the father. Father is dead, she has a son, she's been married before, but we said he has the right next, but he is 6 years old. So you skip him and you go to the next one. What else? It's one important that. Yes. The very first guy who can be the wali is the father. But she became Muslim and the father is Christian. The father is Catholic. The father is a Jew. Whatever. Okay? So he cannot be the wali. And we mentioned some of exceptions in that. So now you add the 6th one. And that is, if the wali is the one who wants to marry her, so he can put another wali to be the wali. Okay? So he doesn't have to be the groom and the wali at the same time.
But he can be?
He can. We said, he can. But if he choose not. Okay? Remember we talked about when the wali because who, in this contract, the marriage contract, who are the two sides of the contract? The wali and the groom. It's not the girl and the groom. It's not the bride or the bride. It's the wali, he represents her, and the groom. Okay? And we talk about some business transactions where you can do that. And that is when يتولي طرفي العقد, when you take care of both sides of the contract. Okay? So that is an example of that. يقول المؤلف وإن زوج أمته عبده الصغير فله أن يتولى طرفي العقد. And also a man who has a slave woman and he has a slave man, and if he wants to marry the man to the woman, the slaves, then he is the wali for both, so he can marry. But here, if you see, he said عبده الصغير, the slave, his small or young slave man, because when the slave is old, then he has the right to refuse. He has to be asked for the permission. When the slave is old enough, he has the right, over 9, he has the right to choose, because he has the right to divorce, so he has the right to choose. Alright? So that's why he said عبده الصغير. وإن قال لأمته أعتقتك وجعلت عتقك صداقك بحضرة شاهد ثبت العتق والنكاح. Also a man comes, he has a slave woman, he tells her, I'm going to free you, and your freedom is your mahar, and I'm going to marry you. He can do that. The freeing and the aqd or the nikah, the marriage contract, are both valid. And the Prophet ﷺ did that with Safiyyah. He freed her, and her freedom was her mahar, dowry, and he married her. So this is the dalil. Is there any doubt about this marriage? If it's the marriage of the Prophet ﷺ. Nikah al-abidi wal-ima. I know it's time for salah, but I really want to finish this. The next sub-chapter really talks about the marriage between slave men and slave women and some the criteria. So since slavery does not exist, we're gonna skip that and just take some of the points mentioned here. وللسيد تزويج إماء كلهن وعبيده الصغار بغير إذن. If they're under 9, they have the right. He can marry them without their permission. وله تزويج أمة موليته بإذن سيدته. This is really ولا يملك إجبار عبده الكبير على النكاح. He cannot force his older slave to marry. وأيما عبد تزوج بغير إذن سيده فهو عاهر. Any slave man get married without the permission of his master is zina. The marriage is invalid. Okay? عاهر bad guy. But then وله تزويج أمة موليته بإذن سيدته. The last point we're going to mention is a man and he's married and his wife has a slave woman. He's saying that he can be the wali for this slave woman. But here, before he said the wali or the master is the wali. But in this instance, his wife cannot be the wali. Why?
She's a woman.
Huh?
She's a woman.
She's a woman. Because we said the wali has to be a male. Actually, there is something special about this issue. And that is, so what happens is the wife give her husband the power of attorney to be the wali for her slave woman. Okay? Now, this is the only instance where the one who's giving the power of attorney cannot do what the person who's receiving the power of attorney can. This is the only instance where al-muwakkil cannot do what al-wakil can do. Usually when you give someone power of attorney to do something that you can do your own, but you're busy, you're away, whatever but this instance is the only time where you cannot do it, even though you're the one who's giving the power of attorney, but he can. Got it? The only time. And that is any time, all the time, this is the only instance. But there are some other instances where the same, someone who's in the haram, you cannot hunt in the haram, so you give your weapon, and you give it to someone, you tell him go outside the haram. This is for a specific area, but you still can do outside the haram and hunt yourself. But in this instance, he cannot. That is the only time where al-muwakkil cannot do what al-wakil can do. Alright? That's it. So inshallah, we continue next time. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم صلى الله عليه وسلم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.